Hello guys, today we're going to talk about at what point is somebody not a productive member of society.
Sure.
I just applied to a job just a couple minutes ago. It feels great. It definitely changes my whole outlook of life instantly. I feel happier already. Excited even.
Excited even?
Mm-hmm.
Well, shit.
I'm here with my friend, very good friend Brian. Just recently came back from China
Good.
for both business and pleasure. He teaches English, or actually, correct me if I'm wrong, English?
American history.
American history. He
Recording?
teaches, huh?
Are you recording right now?
Yeah, I'm recording.
Yeah, I teach American history.
He teaches American history
In China.
in China to the community over there. I think that's probably in high school that would have been my dream job. Teaching people just completely like absent-minded towards any foreign policy, morality, lifestyle.
Has nothing to do with all the Chinese women.
Well, yeah, there's hot Chinese women also. Thank you. Yeah, that was like a dream job that I wanted. Just like talking to people about life. I just applied to a job. I won't go too detailed into it, but taking care of kids at a gym. That's sort of kind of like it. Just like the whole ethics and morality and the morals a person has. This is not the first time I've taught kids. I used to teach kids how to swim, and it was amazing. The short time that I did it, I face-to-face talked to the clients' parents. I shouldn't say clients' parents. It was just like the kids I taught how to swim. I talked to their parents, interacted with them, teaching them how to swim. And you get a whole feeling of like how and what people that are like growing up with kids, what they want, what they expect out of life. And that was like a first-hand like niche experience, like rare experience that I would probably never get anywhere else. And it was out of just a casual job around the corner from my house. And little small things like that are pretty amazing to find. Like, Brian's a little busy right now. He's setting up his setup with his computers and stuff. He'll join us shortly, but I want to ask him what small pearls in life has he found, like just gemstones of just things you can't buy in life, just like experiences that I don't want to say the cookie cutter, like what experiences teach you. Just little things like conversations, dinners with somebody, any moments that he can remember forever. And again, thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys are doing amazing. And here's Brian.
Gems in life that you can't buy.
Yeah. What experiences in life can you not buy? that you experienced, or either or?
I think that you can't fabricate truly dangerous experiences. You have to kind of spontaneously be put in them, and you can't fabricate how you'll respond to that, you know? You can't predict it, and you can't fake it. And so, like, the times in my life where, like, I really, really came close to losing everything,
Totally.
those are real times.
Totally.
You can't buy that. You can't just think about it either. There's so many things in life if you're imaginative enough and you have the empathy, I guess, then you can put yourself in another position or another shoes or whatever. And you can
Go possibly into bad holes.
You could do a decent job imagining most things.
Yeah.
But how you feel right before calamity, that's hard to imagine.
That is true.
Got a few more things to do, so I'll be right back.
Yeah. I like the whole phrase, take everything with a grain of salt. This podcast and the podcast before it, I'd like everyone to take everything with a grain of salt. I'll probably put this as my first podcast, even though we previously recorded. Everyone should just realize this is just a podcast, and I'll put it in the description. Just casual talks with a friend, and don't expect too much, but expect a lot. It's if you're in the mood to listen to somebody talk, this is definitely the right place. So yeah.
Arman, how would you answer that question?
Okay, so Brian wants me to answer the question too. And what gems in life? Possibly feeling homeschooled even though I wasn't homeschooled. Yeah. He says expand. It's like I'm a first generation immigrant. Even I can go even more, and I can even say maybe a refugee.
Really?
Yeah, because my parents escaped a war, so I wouldn't fight in it.
I've never heard this story. Tell us more.
Yeah. So in different countries, some countries require you to go to war or go to the army at the age of 18. Some places at the age of 16. The country where I am from was a requirement at, I think, 18. And
Which country was that?
Republic of Georgia. Yeah. So it was a requirement to go to the army. And my parents decided to leave the country to skip out on that so I didn't have to join the army. And there was, and still is, wars fighting in that country and other countries. Now I'm here, experiencing a different life.
What do you think about
The difference, I think I would have rather done 4 years or 2 years of army work.
Rather than come to America?
Yeah.
You hear more of that. I need an explanation.
Yeah. Well, you don't get let down easily in America for living in America by some parents. They're always on your ass and saying, "Oh, you're living in the most first world country in the world. You're living in better terms than we were," and that's just not true. We're probably given opportunities, but it's completely different. Everything's more forced onto us. We have to take every opportunity that we can. It's more fast-paced. We have to learn everything faster. That's exhausting to itself.
Well, I'm done with what I had to do, and I think it's perfect timing because I felt an intense need to come over here and tell you that you're absolutely out of your fucking mind.
What?
The idea that we are living more difficult lives than our parents lived is fucking ludicrous.
I think we are.
Oh my god, man.
Just the stories that I've heard of them, just like
They sound awesome in the Georgian War. Georgian War stories.
Okay, their requirement was 2 years in the army, and that there wasn't any war. And besides that, the only stories I've ever heard was them just bullshitting around with their friends.
Well, let me ask you this.
For years and years and years, and only like 4 years or 8 years of schooling.
So they're uneducated.
No, they have a college degree. You have a college degree.
Of course I do, because I grew up in the 90s, as opposed to growing up in, like, when, the 50s? When did your parents grow up?
60s? 70s?
50s, probably.
No, 70s. 70s. She was born in 64, so...
Oh, okay.
By the time she's in college, it's like 70s.
Okay.
And that's like hippie time.
It is. You're right.
And that was just... They're just bullshitting all their entire life. That's not harder than some of the things we go through.
Tell me, what's the most difficult thing that our generation goes through?
Well...
Physically difficult.
Shout out to Brian with writing a memoir about times he nearly died.
Yeah, but I do stupid things. All right, I've made a lot of stupid mistakes.
I think you're not giving yourself credit.
Not necessarily mistakes, but I've done a lot of stupid things that I only did because I didn't think it through. But I don't think that's certainly not the majority of the population.
Okay, you tell me. I said my point, my side.
Well, my point is that we live incredibly easy lives. And especially in the United States, the problems that we have are not real problems. They're problems that we create. I spend most of the year in China, and I can tell you for damn sure that those are real problems. You know, there's the small ones, like you can't drink the water out of the faucet, and the plumbing barely works, and the electricity is kind of sketchy, and the internet is painfully slow, and, you know, most people don't have...
But you're getting paid buku bucks, and you're doing that voluntarily.
No, I'm talking about the lifestyle that the locals are living. I'm getting paid a lot of money because I'm an incredibly rare thing in the city.
I didn't say there isn't people that aren't living in poverty.
Well, the point I'm trying to make is just across the board, people are living better today than they did even 50 years ago.
Yeah, well...
You know, television didn't exist when your parents were born.
I don't disagree.
And now I can be in China and you can be here in the United States and we can talk to each other literally instantly.
Yeah. That's just not what I was comparing, though.
So you tell me. Sorry, it was the squeaky chair.
That's going to be a meme for us.
So why don't you tell me what's so difficult about your life?
I'm just saying, overall, it's our job to help them through retirement.
Yeah, just like, well, I don't really think that, you know, like...
It's not that single reason, but...
Well, the point I'm thinking of is that Americans sort of treat that differently than a lot of places in the world. You know, if you're in a place like China, for example, it's very common for the family to stay together throughout. You know, so you'll go into a house and it'll be like 3 generations there. And that's just part of their culture, whereas our culture kind of, the parents are expected to sort of kick the kids out at 18.
At a certain age, yeah.
And the kids are expected to not take care of the parents. The parents are expected to be able to take care of themselves.
Okay.
Now, that's not necessarily true, of course, across the board, but maybe that's just my perception of our culture. However, I think that puts a lot more pressure than needs be than there needs to be on kids in America. The idea that you're supposed to go out and get a house, you're supposed to live by yourself. I mean, especially we live around Washington D.C. It's expensive as shit around here.
Yeah.
And you can tell it's expensive as shit because we both live with our parents still.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the majority of the year I'm in China. However, I still think this is just so much easier than if we grew up even 50 years ago. I mean, can you imagine growing up where the only way you can get the answer to a question is by going to a goddamn library? I mean, it seems literally comical now to even consider going to the library to look something up. But that was the only way to do it back then.
Okay, information is less... well, I wouldn't say that information was less abundant back then. They probably...
It just wasn't available.
What information would you want back then?
How many times have we Google searched something completely meaningless just because we were curious? Yeah. How fast does a bear run? All right, you would spend an entire day pouring through books about like wilderness survival and shit, trying to find out how fast a bear runs. You'd spend our entire day.
Has that helped you?
Knowing how fast a bear runs?
Yeah.
It certainly made my life more interesting.
Oh, but it hasn't helped you.
Maybe that is all that we need, though. Maybe all that we need is just having an interesting life, considering that we're going to live longer and longer. 300 years ago, we would be nearly dead. We're nearly 30 years old. I'm 27. You're 27 or 28?
Yeah, 27.
A couple hundred years ago, you were lucky if you lived to be 30 years old. So maybe...
Yeah, but the life you had...
What
was
of diseases and filth and
you were led to do anything.
There's no medicine.
Yeah,
do you understand?
You could have stabbed somebody without any repercussions.
Or just you could be stabbed.
Yeah.
Or much more likely, you just fall down and hurt yourself, and then you get an infected leg, and they cut it off, and then you die 6 years later.
Okay. For conversation's sake, it is relative.
The point I was going to make earlier is that as we live longer and longer, maybe the point of our life truly is just to find something interesting to do.
Yeah. What's more interesting, your parents' life or your life? No, I wouldn't ask that.
No. I'll answer. I just had to go get a non-squeaky chair. I think my life is way more interesting. Are you crazy?
Yeah, because you're doing more.
I have more. There's more things that can be done in 2018 than there could in the 1960s.
Making your life harder. Because you're filling up that gap.
How does it make your life harder? It gives you more options. Do you find having lots of options to choose from a difficult thing? Does it give you anxiety or something? I could do anything today. Oh my god, it's overwhelming.
No.
You'd rather just like work on a field all day and have no other choice? Either you work on the field today or you don't eat and you die. Those are your options. Or you could go out into the woods and try to catch something and compete with the wolves and bears.
No, my life's not the relevant topic that I'm trying to stick on. I don't want to sound like a pompous person.
Well, you're trying to insinuate that your life is much more difficult than the lives of people who came before you.
I know what it sounds like.
I know your life is not difficult. I know that well.
Maybe I had a rough day. I don't know. Yeah, if your life has more opportunity, you're living longer. I guess quality of life is higher, and you're doing much more, and your stress levels are higher because you're doing so much more. And back in the day, you were just lollygagging. You were taking like
you certainly were not lollygagging. Get the fuck out of here! Lollygagging. Back when the only time you could work was when the sun was up because there were no lights. So you had to get up at the crack of dawn. The moment light came over the horizon, you had to work your tits off until the light goes down over the horizon.
Like 100,000 people.
If you're lucky, you'll have enough food to not die in the winter. And even with enough food, a huge percentage of the population dies every winter.
Yeah, but everybody was doing it, and they worked for like 2 hours at a time.
What are you talking about? Everybody worked their asses off back then. You're insane. How do you not understand this about the world, Arman? How have you gotten almost 30 years old and you don't understand that today is easier than yesterday, and tomorrow will be easier than today because of automation, because of these mechanical machines that do the work of 1,000 men in an hour.
That's just the quality of life, though.
Well, that's part of quality of life, not working so goddamn hard. You no longer have to toil. Well, not you, but some people do, but very few people relative to how it used to be.
So your argument is, let's take it lightly, that the quality of life, as it goes higher, your stress
goes
would
lower?
decline.
No, that's not necessarily.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I understand that. What I think you said, or how I took it, was that now that there's more things to do, there's more things that you can do. It's just giving you more things to worry about and stress over, as opposed to a simple existence as a farmer.
Yeah, pretty much.
So you don't like Netflix or video games, or? Huh?
I haven't watched TV in like 4 years, honestly.
What do you do with your time? Play World of Warcraft?
I do play World of Warcraft.
Okay, so what would you do without that? You'd have to be on the farm. So if you want to go dig holes, go dig holes. Why do you play World of Warcraft?
I don't dig holes. I have.
Well, you would if you were a farmer.
I do yard work constantly.
No, I mean
the year.
Actual farmer, not just messing up your parents' rose garden.
There's no rose garden. There's hard labor, but
oh yeah, with the spiders. It's basically just spider transportation.
Spiders attacking.
Spiders transportation. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're an expert.
Well, in my case, I'll say that. Okay, I'm living like blue collar in a white collar area. Some kids can't really relate to that.
What is that supposed to mean? You live in blue collar in a white collar area.
Yeah.
You trying to say that you don't have as much money as the people around you?
No, I'm talking about like labor wise.
Labor wise?
Yeah.
I don't get it still.
Like the amount of time, the free time I have.
Which is almost entirely. Almost every minute of every day you have free.
Except when I need to be working on something else that's not my plans.
Oh, doing things that your parents tell you to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what?
Like cutting down a tree or something.
First of all, cutting down a tree sounds awesome. I would love to.
Some people would love it.
Yeah, I would love to cut down a tree.
It's like the shoeless shoemaker. He makes shoes for everybody, but doesn't have time to make shoes for himself. Or the opposite. What I'm trying to explain is like, yeah, maybe I would have fun doing all that if I wasn't forced to.
I hear you, man. If I was forced to cut down a tree every day, I would hate it.
Or you might love it. You might be that one person that.
But I don't think so. I know myself pretty well. I think I would enjoy it the first time and then probably not ever again. But, well, then why don't you get a job and get a fucking apartment?
That's exactly what my plan is. Thank you. That's exactly what I did. I applied for a job. I applied for housing. And I'm waiting. Now the waiting game begins.
Hey man, don't wait for everything, okay? Just go fucking do it. Like Shia LaBeouf says.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's one of my favorite memes. Shout out to Shia LaBeouf.
Oh my god.
It's true. Sometimes you have to just do it. Someone's stuck in like
I agree with the message.
a void.
But that whole thing with Shia LaBeouf and Reddit and
It was
he will not divide us stuff is just it's gold. It's truly gold.
I never understood what was the topic on.
As best as I understand it, this is what happened. Shia LaBeouf wanted to make this like performance art piece thing where he puts up a camera in I think Los Angeles first,
And he's staring at it.
and he's staring at it and he's saying he will not divide us over and over again.
Who is he talking about?
Trump.
Oh, okay.
And then it took off and all these people started following him. And on Reddit, the group Poll, Poll? It's politically incorrect.
No.
I'm not a big Redditor. So
I'm not a big Redditor.
I don't know much about it. However, they trolled the shit out of him. He got trolled into the goddamn ground so badly that he moved the camera. He moved it to a different city. I think it was like Chicago or something like that.
Yeah, they were getting in his face.
The people there trolled him
fighting.
again. Okay,
Yeah.
so then he moved the camera again, this time out to the middle of nowhere, staring up at a flag.
Okay.
Okay, and the people on Reddit somehow found it.
Okay.
A flag,
In the
and it's
middle of
all they
nowhere?
could see on the camera. A flag in the sky, in the middle of nowhere in like the Midwest, somewhere on a farm.
And they found
And they found it by looking at planes flying overhead, looking at the rising and falling of the sun, looking at star patterns, and
Jeez.
determining where exactly it was within
Smart
a
people.
certain area. And then within a certain area, they had people go out there and drive trucks through the farmland, honking their horn, while other people are watching the camera and giving them feedback, like hot or colder. And eventually they stole the flag and they replaced it with a Pepe flag.
Pepe.
So that is just... I mean, if that's not artwork, I don't know what it is.
That's just sheer determination.
It's the greatest. I think it's probably going to be one of the greatest things to ever have happened on the internet. So anyway, yeah, that's all I can think about now is Shia LaBeouf just getting trolled so hard.
That's crazy.
The Reddit hive mind cannot be stopped.
So, this is a bit of a tangent. Bruce Willis is going to get roasted, or he already has.
I think I saw a commercial about that.
Yeah, on Comedy Central, I think.
Yeah. Dude, you said you don't watch TV anymore.
I saw it at your house on YouTube, like a commercial on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of the roasts. I think most of them aren't very funny.
Yeah. They're pretty touchy. They get real
Personal.
personal, yeah. Thank you. But, yeah, man. Life can be rough sometimes.
No matter how rough it can be today, it was worse 50 years ago. It was worse 100 years ago. Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I don't really know. Obviously, no one knows what's going to come, what the future's going to bring. But I think it's pretty easy to assume that what we have now we're going to have better later.
Yeah. No, life always gets... It always gets worse before it gets better, but it's always...
Well, no. Well, technology just keeps getting better no matter what. And so because of that, we're going to continue to work less or, have less to do at the very least. We're going to continue to have more and have higher quality everything. I mean, Jesus. What we were just watching last night, remember, with the North Korea thing?
Yeah, no, that...
And we were joking about being here in America, owning multiple computers. And in Korea, they can't even feed themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's there's just not enough food. Meanwhile, I'm like, I guess I'll buy another computer.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
My
Just for convenience.
My instinct, whenever nowadays I hear stories like that, I instantly think, what's the ratio of their families actually caring to the knowledge they have of outside resources, or if they should move out of the country, or they should do something about their education or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I instantly clicks in my head is that kind of algorithm of do they actually have the ability, the know-how, the care? Do they have any of those three to better their life?
Yeah.
And I think I developed that little by little over time, but now it's a instinct.
Yeah.
Now it's should I, if you're talking to somebody or having a conversation, should I care about talking about this to this person? I don't know. I've met a lot of people already nowadays.
Is the person worth the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that a lot as well sometimes.
Conversations.
I think that a lot when I go to bars, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I meet a lot of people who don't really have anything to talk about.
No, there's just a lot of those people,
and they explicitly don't want to talk about anything important
or something. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I would rather silence than small talk. I think small talk is awful.
Yeah. No.
Sitting around talking about the weather, some fucking sports game that happening. I don't give a shit. Well, sports just isn't my thing, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I think this. See, in that situation, that experience ruins the whole experience of small talks. I think small talks are amazing, like little mannerisms that people have, just like a 2-second conversation with somebody, a stranger, about something like next to a fax machine or something.
Well, I want that conversation with the stranger to be productive. I want us to be talking about something that we both care about enough to really
some people's
drive the conversation.
Some people's attitudes don't develop into good conversations.
Yeah, true.
And their lifestyles, what have you.
I think that exposing yourself to new things can be very uncomfortable to some people.
Mm-hmm.
And especially the idea that you don't know anything about this new thing.
But then in this day and age?
Well, I don't think that our generation does it as much. You know, I like to think that our generation's better than the previous generation.
Yeah.
You know, I think that our generation was kind of forced from the very beginning to constantly be adapting to new technology and stuff like that. You know, our culture is moving so fast now. It changes every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And technology is just insane now. I mean, we've seen a day and night difference just in our lives. We're only fucking 27 years old.
Yeah.
So
it's plateaued a little bit. Technology.
Yeah. This amount of adaptation was never required back in the day. I will say that.
Mm.
Yeah. People who grew up in the early 20th century, they were never expected to, like, radically
change the world.
Not change the world, but like if you wanted to work in a technology field, let's say you wanted to be a programmer or something like that, you know, because that's really like bleeding edge stuff, especially if you're doing something like AI or whatever. People back in the day, there just wasn't anything new. Like, if you were much smarter than the person sitting next to you 100 years ago, that didn't really mean very much. There's not necessarily very much that you could do more than the person sitting next to you, because you're both just, you know, farmers or factory laborers or whatever. Mm-hmm. Whereas today, if you're significantly more intelligent than the person sitting next to you, you could, I mean, live a radically different life than that person because of that intelligence or creativity or determination or whatever. And so I think because of that, our generation is constantly looking for something important in our lives. Not just something important, but something like radically important. Something that, like, we're basically looking for something to change our lives. Mm-hmm. But I think at the end of the day, most people are never going to be like some groundbreaking scientist or musician or artist or...
You're actually saying that it's a less chance for our generation?
I think chances exist for our generation that didn't exist for the previous one. Mm-hmm. But they're so unlikely for most people that you might as well be playing the lottery. Like, if you want to become a famous musician, famous artist, I mean, really anything within a creative domain, good luck. It's just really difficult, really unlikely.
What would you consider smart back in the day?
Well, how far back are we going?
70s? During the hippie time? What could possibly? How smart could somebody be while partying and doing cocaine 24/7?
Well, those would be the people who weren't smart, you know? Like, that, it was a big generation. Not every single one of them was doing coke and tripping on acid every day.
Yeah.
There were a lot of them who were scientists, and they really pushed the envelope in many fields in the 70s. So, you know,
Yeah, there was that painter.
there's a million things.
Yeah.
Not just Jackson Pollock. God damn it.
Which he, like, got famous off of nothing or whatever.
Oh, Andy Warhol?
Yeah.
I fucking hate Andy Warhol.
Yeah.
God damn.
He was literally, like,
Everyone
bullshitting his entire
everyone in
life.
the art world just licking his butthole. It was terrible.
Yeah. That's the most depressing story I've ever heard.
I hated the art world. Like, with air quotes, the art world.
Mm-hmm.
Almost every artist I met was unbelievably pretentious. Just so far up their own asses. It was shocking. And they were so intensely, like, closed off and hermitish. Is that a word, hermitish?
Yeah.
And incredibly judgmental of everyone else's work, incredibly defensive of their own.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very, very small group of artists I met that were reasonable and objective and kind, to be completely honest.
Yeah. Indifferent.
Or just mature about it. You know?
Apparently, indifference is a sin.
Indifference?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Apparently. I'm bringing the discussion to you, not saying it's like my belief or something.
Cool. Indifference.
Yeah. But we're taught.
I suppose it's a bad thing, right? You should care. You should care about people.
But what does that technically mean? Like, you can't be indifferent from other people? You can't, like, strive to be indifferent? Like,
I don't think that you understand what the word means.
Yeah, no.
Indifferent means, like, apathy. Like, you don't care at all. Like, it doesn't matter to you what happens.
Okay.
So, like, the idea of indifference being a sin is, like, if you see something bad happen, you should step in and try to stop the bad thing from happening. You shouldn't just not care.
Okay.
And I agree. I think that the Chinese culture is very indifferent, and I think that's something that they're trying to change. They're trying very hard because it's, you know, it's shameful, honestly, when people need help and no one helps them. What are we at? What time?
We're at 38 minutes.
Oh, all right. Let's end this one.
Yeah, we'll keep this as a little short segments.
That was a good one. Those interesting topics.
It's riveting.
Let's not get carried away.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you all for watching. And this has been Brian and Arman. And we'll see you in the next video.
Take care.